making things safer and more secure. For businesses,
the bricklayers, they are here. Appreciate you, man. Gotta love a live stream, man. A live stream. Are we looking live?
Strong foundations. The skilled members of Laborers Local 872 never stop building. From the asphalt on our roads, the concrete in our buildings.
Where is everybody?
Powering the economy and everything in between to work safely. Laborers
There we go.
872 is modernizing.
Snow Raider, you're the first one here. Thor. Wow. Yee-hee, Thor's here. Clay, I need a good soundbite or two from Pete. What would you recommend here for our open? The Vinny Bite? The Vinny Bite, you have that?
Yep, I got the Vinny Bite.
Okay.
I think that's the most telling one.
Mhm.
The only thing he's actually said on that conference was that.
We're the Castro Brothers, and we have your back. BrothersWin.com.
Brothers win. What a show we got. So we got Lee Sterling, who was 3-0 last week. How about that? How about that? We got Vince Sapienza from our morning show. At the bottom of the hour, we have Steve Wisniewski. Steve Wisniewski, one of the greatest guards in Raider history. And then we have Wasted Talent, the great legendary podcaster. Wasted Talent. How about the shows we've been knocking down this week, man? Some people said I had one of the greatest monologues of all time yesterday. Will I be able to top that? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I have a grande non-fat latte. It does, and we are out of the gate, and I'm ready to roll. All right, we got a lot to get to today. We have a loaded show. We have a loaded show today, and I'll tell you everything that we got lined up. So today we have Wasted Talent, the great podcaster. He will join us at 1:30 Pacific time. We have Lee Sterling, who's picking games. He was 3-0 last week. Wow. Can you imagine if you were doing business with him? Like I told you, you'd be making money, unlike some of those Vegas channels in town here that don't make you money. We have Steve Wisniewski. Steve Wisniewski is one of the greatest guards and offensive linemen ever to play for the Raiders. He's on the modern list for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He really should be in the Hall of Fame. He's done enough. He really has. An 8-time Pro Bowler. During the decade, he was the best guard there. And then Vince Sapienza is going to join us here at the bottom of the hour. So 4 guests, plus your phone calls. The Ryder Cup's here today. I've been watching the Ryder Cup. I was supposed to be there today. Supposed to take the red eye last night. I got spooked. The rain was coming. Can't miss the game. Cannot be not at the torch, all that. So I got soft. And I hate admitting I got soft. But I kind of won because it poured all day today. And my buddies who went today for the first day of the Ryder Cup got there, hung out in the tents. They had the open bar in the tents, and they're getting pretty banged up because they've been taking pictures all day. But they haven't seen any golf because it's raining. So they're hanging out in the tent. So if I would have flew overnight, all overnight, landed at 5 a.m, got out to Bethpage, and it was pouring rain, I think I won on staying back. And I told you, Clay, I'm going to see America at Virgin tomorrow night. America, the band. Horse with no name. That's a win.
Sister Golden Hair.
Thank you. I'm in the suite. They normally have an open bar there. I'm wearing my Tito shirt today. I might be figuring I'll have a couple of Tito's tomorrow night. And then Saturday night, I'm going to Motley Crue.
Yes.
For their residency. And then Sunday, I'm anchoring the broadcast from the Torch. Who's got it better than me? Not Jim Harbaugh. He don't have the weekend I got lined up. So that's it. I got a good day lined up for you today. We got a good show. But I have a little bit of a problem. I defend the coach. That's what I do. I'm loyal. I defend my fraternity brothers. I defend my friends. I defend my family. If you're my friend, and some of you are, you know that I'm very loyal. And I'm fighting off people now that are coming after our coach, and he's barely got his toe put in the water of the vast ocean of Raider Nation. And we have some people out there that I'm not good with. So because I'm maturing, and I've done this a while, and because we live in kind of a bizarre world right now with social media, where I shouldn't be in DMs the way I used to, wink, wink. I shouldn't be reacting the way I do at times. I have to take a step back on this because it won't be good for me to engage everybody who's coming after our coach, who I really like. I like all the coaches, but this guy's different. He's like that uncle that you have at your house, the uncle that everybody likes, who's been great in his career, and now he's over at your house, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's going to be here every day, and we're going to talk football. And I have some fans in the Raider Nation busting his balls. I have some fans in the Raider Nation coming at our legendary coach, not our former coach who was fired and maybe shouldn't have got the job and this and tried to do this. No, not our interim coach. We had 2 interim coaches in Vegas, 2. Rich Bisaccia and Antonio Pierce. And, John Gruden's been a friend of mine for the day. We both got hired on the same day. But, I mean, could you imagine having the balls to give Pete Carroll grief after week 3? When you've been calling me, begging for this to turn around, and we get Pete Carroll, and now you're doubting him. So again, I'm going up to the ledge, but look, I'm walking away because this isn't good for me. It's not good for my personal life. It's not good for my mental health, even though I never talk about that. I think I have that locked in. It's just not good for me. I interview him every week. He's kind. He's a gentleman. He's cerebral. And I think most of the Raider fans understand how great Pete Carroll is, but they're coming out of the gate already and making him not feel. And the majority of them do, believe me, the majority of them. I'm talking about some. Some out there are questioning a Hall of Fame coach. So put yourself in my shoes for a minute. Not for an hour, not for the show, just a minute. Let's start counting down from 60 to 1. Put yourself in my shoes for a minute. When you see me dealing with some of these knuckleheads who are absolutely taking a run at our coach because our coach is making decisions and building something in his own light, and he's got a little bit of a bumpy road. And we got people that wanted every other coach fired and welcomed them here, and now they're a little bit skittish. What would you do if you were me? What would you do? I'm asking you. What would you do? Well, you're not me, and I'm not you. And I'm done being the ticket police, and I'm done telling you how to be a fan. All I can ever do is tell you what I would do. And I screw up 5 times a day before breakfast. I tell you why I'm a fan. I categorize fans into 4 to 5 categories. One is diehard fans. Diehard. I'm that. I'm at the top of the pyramid at the list of being a fan. I'm a diehard fan. I put my life into sports. I'm a diehard fan. Then lower than that is a hardcore fan. We got a lot of Raider fans who are hardcore fans. They're hardcore. And then after that, you have good fans, which I think the majority of you are all good fans. Then you get into the fan bases that I'm seeing to see because I have a screen in front of me. And you have the fair weather fans, the non-loyal fans. And then you have the haters, because you got to remember, if you put yourself in my shoes, you know that I'm dealing with Bronco fans and Charger fans and fans that hate the Raiders. You don't. If you're sitting at a bar in San Leandro, you don't have anybody at the bar who hates the Raiders. You're good. Maybe a Niner fan's in there. I deal with all the Raider haters. I go on all their radio shows representing this franchise. I go on in LA. I go on in Denver. I go on in DC. They call me. And I have to handle promoting the Raiders and defending the Raiders. I don't need anything for it. I don't think I've ever gotten anything for it. I'm good. Don't need a poster with my name on it. I'm good. But, you know, it's kind of weird when you're dealing with people who are rational and then they're very irrational after 3 weeks. So I guess I'm at this stage in my life where I have a great career, in my opinion, going with all this cool stuff I got. I got my son here. I'm working with my son. He's in studio. I just think I got to pick my battles, as my wife says. My wife's very good. She's much smarter than me. She's got a master's degree at the University of Illinois, a graduate and a master's degree. She's so much smarter than me. It's incredible. She just says at times, pick your battles. This is a battle I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to get into fighting off the Pete Carroll detractors, because I think the majority of them are lunatics, and they're not structured in being a fan correctly. They're highly emotional. But then again, I'm pretty highly emotional. So you can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. If you're really upset at the coach and you have a phone call that is rational about the coach's start of 1 and 2, you can give that to me. 702-365-9200. If you want to get and support the coach, right? Clay and I were talking about that before the show. I asked him how his show was going, all that. If you want to support the coach, which I think is very smart to do, like, wouldn't you imagine Pete's here with his wife? He's got grandkids. Like, wouldn't you want to welcome him to Vegas and hope it's great? I would. And like welcome him into our community and all that. I would think you'd do that with everybody that you meet who has a Raiders shirt on. You wouldn't push off and alienate Raiders. But we're dealing with people who think they're smarter than John Spytek and Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly and everybody. Everybody thinks they know better. And I think you know the Raiders really well, and I respect your opinion. I really do respect your opinion. Look, I've been the first to tell you, I would put Jackson Powers Johnson at center because he won the Remington Award. They don't want to do that. They know much more than I do. They're dealing with him every day in the building. I'm not saying he's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know Jackson well. I've interviewed him 5 times. I think he recognizes me and knows me. I met his parents before anybody. The first person I met were his parents who were in the lobby when we came in. Very nice people. So I don't know why you're all pissed off that he's not playing the position you want when they got coaches evaluating him every day going, no, we're going to try him here, and he hasn't proven that he's the player we want him to be. If that's the case, what's your problem with that? It's Pete Carroll. Like, you have a problem with Pete Carroll evaluating people? He didn't draft Jackson Powers Johnson. He didn't know him from Adam. Now he's making him compete. And we got Raider fans with tattoos and Raiders written all over them. Raider Frank, Raider Bill, Raider Bobby, Raider this. And they're questioning Pete Carroll after 3 weeks? Okay. All right. That's why we have radio. That's why we have YouTube. That's why we have content providers, because there are several content providers you can go to that will play into this topic, and they'll stir the pot more, and they'll make it be worse maybe than it is. But I don't know the answers to this. I interviewed the coach. The first question I asked him is, what, in a roundabout way, what are you going to do this week to get the O-line better for this game? Pretty good question, right? It's my job. I'm not there to talk about Indy. He didn't come upstairs in the studio to preview Indy in Tennessee. He was there to preview the upcoming opponent. What are you going to do to get the offensive line ready for this game? He pretty much told me the same thing he told everybody. We're sticking with the guys. Jackson's coming back. We're going to get him out on the field. He hasn't been hit, and we're going to see how it plays out. And you got Raider Nation jumping off skyscrapers. Oh, my, how dare he say that? How dare Pete Carroll say that? You know, he coached the Legion of Boom, coached in 2 Super Bowls, won national championships at USC. How dare you, JT? How dare you, JT, not stand up and bang your fists and say, he's got to be the center, coach? That's what I'm dealing with. All right, that's what I get paid to do. So we'll deal with it. I would put Jackson Powers Johnson at center. They clipped that already this week. Clay, do I get paid when I get clipped, or do I get a sandwich? Can I go to Chickies and Pete's? And the guys who clip me, can they buy me a cheeseburger or something?
Yeah, how about a cheesesteak?
Yeah, a cheesesteak would be great.
Yeah,
if you're going to clip me, and it's not my son clipping me, I'd like a cheesesteak. But, that's what's happening now. So Vinny Bonsignore asked this question. He's a journalist. You got to remember the difference between Vinny. Vinny is a radio host and a journalist. I'm a radio host and a bloviator. I don't get paid to be a journalist. I could have been. I wrote for 10 years for MSNBC back in the day when they had a great sports department. Not talking politics. I wrote there for 10 years. My buddy Danny DeFreitas gave me a column where I wrote for, I wasn't considered a journalist. I was a sports talk host. But Vinny's got a tough job because he's got to go on this radio channel, give his opinions, and then stand in front of the head coach and ask questions like this.
Left guard, Dilbert was at right guard, Jackson was at center. Would you consider maybe going back to something like that? Is that what you're looking at?
No, we invested a lot of time with these guys playing in their spots. I know you're interested in JPJ. This is an official week to practice and to get ready. Yeah, last week was not that. So he's ready to compete for the playing time. He and Alex will be going at it. So it's a good situation in that regard.
When you say competing for playing time, is
Jackson and anybody in 2 weeks. We got to see what he can do. So we got to check him out and see how he does.
I think there's two parts to that question that were really good. First off, it was the absolutely not answer. That was good. That's what got Raider Nation hemorrhaging. Absolutely not. Well, don't you want a coach who says absolutely not? Don't you want a coach before a microphone is going to give you his opinion? Or do you want him to waffle and tell you, I don't know? Raider Nation, he just told you absolutely not. You got your answer. And then part two of the question is he says, Jackson hasn't hit anybody in 2 weeks. You're not aware of that. You're not in the building. I'm in the building, and I wasn't aware of it. I'm not at practice. So the coach told you we got to get the player up to speed. He was in concussion protocol. He's competing. Hasn't Pete told you they changed the signs in the building? They all say compete. I told you that. So what's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you all ruffled about the coach being firm and saying absolutely not? Could he change his mind next week if the Raiders go to 1-3 and all of a sudden some offensive lineman twists their ankle and they have a high ankle sprain and he can put a rookie in or move Jackson over to center and move? I don't know. We'll deal with it when we can. But, I mean, come on. I know who you are. You're the same person who came after me with Antonio Pierce, Josh McDaniels, everybody else. I'm holding you accountable. Where do you stand now as a fan? Where do you stand? Are you checked out? Or are you just naturally pissed off you're 1-2? And that's good. I need that. That makes a much better radio show when you are upset, I'm upset, and we come together to try to talk it out. That's all I do. I think we do it better than anybody. We don't waste time. We don't have a show that's 2 hours that takes up, 30 minutes of waste. We give you everything we got every segment. So bring it at me. Coach just told you what he said. Absolutely not. We have to see him out there. He hasn't hit anybody in 2 weeks. And there are Raider, air quotes, Clay. Here are the air quotes. That's why you got to subscribe to YouTube. Air quotes. There are Raider content providers. I'm going to quit. I'm going to shut down my channel. I'm going to storm the Raiders if they don't put in Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm done. I'm taking down my Raider wall. I'm taking down my bobbleheads, all my ticket stubs. I'm throwing them out if we don't get this player to play because I said so. Whew. Didn't want to go there, right? I did go there, I guess. I didn't want to go there, but that's what I do. So that's where we're at. I really trust this coach because of his great track record. I don't know how many games he's going to win. I don't. I hope he wins more than he loses. I'm really shocked that they played so poorly. He told me to my face why they did. He didn't make an excuse because Dan Quinn's mentor is Pete Carroll. And he basically said, Danny had him ready to go. Pete Carroll didn't have his players in pads because they played Monday night. And maybe he didn't handle that perfectly. He said that. You'll hear my interview with him tomorrow. He wants to have that opportunity again so badly where he gets screwed again and they make him play on Monday night and they let him play a team that played the Thursday before. He wants that so badly to prove everybody that he would do it better the next time. I like that. I think that's pretty cool that he said that. But again, I don't know what Jackson Powers Johnson is going through as a player. I don't know if he's having great film sessions or bad. I don't know if they put him on the whiteboard for protection and he gets it wrong. Do you? Joe Philbin didn't tell you that at a bar. Greg Olson didn't walk up to you in a restaurant and say, Jackson doesn't do this well, but no, we don't know. They're trying to figure it out. And when you're trying to figure something out in life, it sometimes takes time. But as people have told me in my chat, JT the Brick YT on YouTube, I got a lot of people saying, man, we've been waiting so long, JT. We've been waiting so long. We need it now. I know you need it, man. I know who you are. I'm at the torch with you. I know you want to win. I've never doubted that. I've never doubted a Raider fan for wanting to win. But I am doubting some fans who are doubting this coach so quickly. And I see all of you. And I see you on X and I see everywhere on YouTube. I know who you are. And hopefully, I don't want to do this I don't want to be a 12-year-old, but it would be really nice to come back at you in a month saying, really, you doubted this guy? Look at how good the team's doing. But I don't know if the team's going to be doing great in a month. I don't have huge confidence that they're going to come out and put up 35 after the last two games that I watched. They didn't look good at all, other than some broken, some good touchdowns Trey Tucker has. But I'd like to see him establish the run in this game. I really would. I'd like to see them establish the run and get the running game going. The only other issue with that can be, are they going to do that on purpose? And then it could hurt the team because maybe the game plan would show. If Chip looks with Pete and Chip says, look, I think in this game we should throw it a lot. And everybody's saying, oh, no, we got to run it because the fans are going to freak out if we don't get Action Genty going. Then let's just throw it. Let's just throw it. I don't know what the game plan is. I watched the Bears game again. So what I do every week is I DVR games and I watch games over. I was up early this morning and I watched the Bears game. And they spread everybody out, like I've been saying. They went 3-4 wide with 3-4 really good receivers. They basically told the Cowboys, we're not going to run. We're just going to attack you downfield. And they did. Do you know that Caleb Williams was the NFC Player of the Week? Oh, boy. Uh-oh. He was the player in the conference. He's coming in here red hot. It's the greatest game he ever played. And I don't even think he played well his senior year at USC, and he didn't play well last year. Did you notice that? His junior year at SC was the only time he played in a rhythm until last week. So that's where we're at today. Lee Sterling's going to join us. Steve Wisniewski. What I plan on with my conversation with Wiz is going to be, Wiz played on so many really good offensive lines, but he never won a Super Bowl. And I'm going to ask Wiz, what happens on one of those offensive lines that wasn't that great? How'd you fix it? How did you pick up production? How'd you take a young player next to you and make them better? I think that'll be a really good conversation, so stick around. That will be at the top of the hour. We're brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They got a lot going on at the Strat. As you know, it's a great place. They got a William Hill sports book. They got a PT's right in the lobby there. They got a lot going on. So when you go there, you can go to the top of the world and have one of the, if you have the in-laws in town or friends in town, or you want to get engaged or you want to blow people away, take them to the top of the world to the restaurant there. The restaurant is fabulous. The food's great. You get the view. You can go on the rides. It's fantastic. And then you got all the entertainment on the property. So we thank the Strat for everything that we have here. So I got a lot of content that I haven't played yet. My conversation with Lincoln Kennedy, I want to get to that maybe tomorrow. And my head coach interview with Pete Carroll, even though the Raiders put it out, you might have saw it already. We play that tomorrow and we'll get going here. Who will be the first Raider fans to call me today? Who? You know, am I the Raider therapist today or am I the Bricktator? It's one of two, Clay. That's all I am. I'm either Raider therapist or I'm the Bricktator. One or the other, I'll try to meet you halfway. I'd really like to hear from some passionate Raider fans about what you're going through today ahead of this game. I don't want to look down the road 3 or 4 more games. I kind of don't want to go back. I think we did a good job on Monday, Tuesday, cleaning up the Commanders game. Now at Thursday, the game plan is in, And I could use your help in Raider Nation on how we win this game. By Thursday and Friday, it's all about, hey, help me out. How do we win? Help me. I'm a fan like you. How do we win this game? Do you want to run it? Do you want to throw it? How are you going to play defense? What are we going to do? 702-365-9200. I'm wearing this Tito's shirt today. Look at this. Tito's handmade crafted vodka, the number one spirit in America. A lot of number ones want to hang out with me. Tito's, my go-to vodka. I'm wearing their swag. I'll have a few Tito's this weekend, a little live music this weekend. The Raiders are playing the Bears. Tito's, proud partner of our show as we kick it off inside the Raider Nation. All right, standing up in the studio. Don't tell me what podcaster I was insinuating to. You don't know shit. I wasn't insinuating anything. It was a blanket statement about people, content providers who are crapping all over this coach. You can pick I don't listen to or watch half of them. I've got a few, so don't tell me who I'm talking about. You have no idea what's in my brain. Insane in the membrane.
When you need cash, how quickly can LendingStore.com connect you to a lender faster than this commercial? Whether you need cash for a medical bill, groceries, or rent, LendingStore.com's network of lenders.
Okay, so we'll do Vince here?
Yeah, we're going to do Vince, but we'll wait till we come out. Yeah, let's wait till we come out. I get a live read-in, get some stuff going.
You want to do a call before Vince?
Yes, I would like to do a call before Vince. Yes. We're trying to make lanes for Genty, Martin. We're trying to get Gino to have time to pick up a target. Yes, they're working on it. Thank you, T. Appreciate your support. Thor knows. Dodgers, Diamond. My Yankees are tied for first. Yes. And Clay, your Tigers, may they rest in peace.
Yeah.
Are you going to get at least the third wild card?
No, I don't think they're mentally strong enough to come back from this. They look bad. They look all beaten up, too. What a damn shame. They had that moniker of one of the biggest collapses ever.
It's JT. Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York style coal-fired.
Oh, Ryder Cup, man. I need the Ryder Cup.
Oh, yeah, what do I got there?
Sports Center is good, too. I don't think we have a golf channel, probably.
Do they do Ryder Cup on a different channel, like CNBC or something?
No, they do Ryder Cup on Golf Channel, and then they go to NBC
Yeah.
for the coverage on the weekend. Yeah, I don't think we have that here, so no problem. Go back to Sports Center. Should do some live look-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of
with Amazon. Let me see if Amazon has a channel.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed out. I'm not at the Ryder Cup. JT, I have tattoos, and I'm a quality engineer. Don't judge a book. I'm not judging tattoos. I love tattoos. I'm talking about the hardcore Raider fans with the tattoos. That's a compliment. That's not a knock that you have tattoos. I know who you are if you have a Raider tattoo. Snow Raider, no, he's not on vacation. He's no longer with us. And I will not be discussing that here on the broadcast. But unfortunately, we are parted ways, which is unfortunate. And that's pretty much all I'm comfortable talking about. So that's it. Oh, so we do have Amazon, huh?
This
Yeah.
isn't Beth Page Black, though.
No, that's not.
Do you want me to change it?
Sports Center's good. Sports
Okay.
Center's good, yeah. Yeah, Mike North was great. Sandpoint, he was really good yesterday. Yeah, Big D summed it up beautifully, as you always do.
What a dilemma that you have on your hands. No chicken sandwich at your favorite place on Sundays. Well, I got the solution.
Army, East Carolina.
Get a juicy chicken sandwich, crispy fries, and a soda for just $10. Yep, just $10. It's only on Sunday. So,
Yep.
when they're hungry, you're gonna leave there happy.
Ryder Cup first round tomorrow, but the problem with the rain.
Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When I went to the Ryder Cup 11 years ago, I went to the practice round and opening ceremonies. And the practice round was unbelievable because you get to see everybody play, just like a golf tournament. And they put a couple balls down, and it's really good. It's not like your typical practice round. But, yeah, the Ryder Cup kicks off on Friday. It rained all day today. So my buddies who were out there. Ryder Cup is on USA and Peacock.
Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m.
I'll get up Thor, and then we'll do Vince.
Brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Ashton Genty, the lone setback. Two receivers. It's a play fake on first down. Gino floating downfield. Myers wide open at the 40. Far sideline 30. Myers scrambling with a blocker, and he's out of bounds at the 15-yard line. 45-yard Gino to Jacoby on the first play from scrimmage. Oh, man, in the...
All right, turn up the crew. What Vince Neal am I going to get Saturday night? Am I going to get good Vince? Better than expected Vince? Not the Vince I saw the last 2 years on TikTok. I better not get that. I want big-time Vince. I mean, Motley Crue shows are fun. No doubt about that. So I'll see the crew on Saturday, America tomorrow at Virgin, and I'm going to stop by. I got a friend in town who I'm taking to the Hall of Excellence. The Hall of Excellence Sports Museum. It's inside the Fountain Blue. It brings the rarest memorabilia from the world's most celebrated icons. It's a collection of Jim and Fran Gray along with Tom Brady. If you want to see the greatest parts of Brady's collection, his draft card, all of his Super Bowl rings. Brady's got a lot of cool stuff that's not in Miami. It's not New England. I mean, Robert Kraft, no, it's not in the Patriots Hall of Fame. It's at the Fountain Blue. From Muhammad Ali's boxing gloves to Oprah Winfrey's Presidential Medal of Freedom, Elvis Presley's suit from his defining return to Vegas in '69. And one of the coolest things is Jackie Robinson's Barrier Breaking Bat. That's fun to see too, man. If you watch the bat Jackie Robinson used to break the color barrier is there at the Fountain Blue. That's worth seeing. Thanks to the Fountain Blue for being a partner here. Thor, out in Summerlin. I missed your first cigar last night. Thor, what do you got today? What's going on?
JT, what's happening, my brother? I'm fired up to win this game. This is a must-win to me. Must-win, baby. How do we win this game? I know we say we have to run the football because we need to start running. We have to run the football because in this game, especially because Chicago is giving up over 110, 112 yards a game. I mean, Minnesota beat them by running the football. The Detroit Lions put up 52. They ran for over 115 yards that game. I mean, so they beat up on Dallas so big. But even Dallas had over 100 yards rushing as a team, 110, 101. That one guy getting 7.6 a carry, 10 carries for 76 yards. They're main. So run the football. We have to find a way for us to run the football, but I believe this is also a game where we will be successful running the football. Must win, find a way to win, reset this season. I'm tired of I'm going to just call them what I call them, fake Raider fans. Man, we're 3 games in. Get it together, man. Support your team. Support your people. Let's go, man. Who gives up after 3 games? Get real, man. Are you serious? A bunch of softies, man. Let's go, JT.
Yeah.
I'm ready to win. I think I have time tonight. If you want to smoke a cigar tonight, hit me up, brother, for sure. Let's go. It's a football game tonight, too. Maybe we watch the game down there.
You got it, Thor. I'll let you know. I got to actually do a podcast, too, during the game. So we'll get one together at some point here. Thor in Summerlin. Vince Sapienza from our morning show in Fox 5. He does it all. He does it all about town. I just had my first must-win call of the day. How many of those did you get this morning on the morning tailgate?
What's today? Thursday? So about 400 already.
Okay.
So you're doing better than we were. Yeah, I understand. That's the beauty of the National Football League, JT. This is the beauty of the sport that we get to cover. You live and die each and every week with the outcome. And 3 weeks in, not even a full month into the NFL calendar, and you're getting the must wins, the do or dies. And while I appreciate it, I understand it, love the passion from the fans, there's also a little bit of a, perspective and breadth and understanding of the marathon that is the season. So, it's interesting what we were talking about this morning, and I think might be even prevalent now, is, a month and a half ago, even a month ago, you and I were sitting there standing during training camp, and it was all trust in Pete, right? Tried and true recipe. Everyone, no matter what he did, hey, he's done it before. You have to trust him. Why? Because his accolades, his resume said so. Now, all of a sudden, 3 weeks in, everybody's smarter about the offensive line. Everybody knows what holes Ashton Jeanty should be hitting. And again, while I appreciate the enthusiasm, there has to be some sort of level-headedness that has to occur at some point. And hopefully a win for the Raiders this week will kind of balance that out.
Yeah, I think they're due for a win, but that doesn't mean they're going to get one. Caleb had a great game. He was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. They got wide receivers who are going to try to get behind the Raiders secondary, and I think Max is getting home a lot. A lot of people that break down individual plays are seeing what Max can do, and I think some of the interior line has had some moments to flash. Olu has a couple of sacks. He had 3 coming into the last game, but I need to see something out of Tyree and Malcolm Kuntz. I mean, Malcolm Kuntz this year's most memorable play, he's got a sack, is that face mask. I mean, Malcolm Kuntz has got to get going here. We were talking about him at the end of training camp, and Coach was talking about him about, got to get past the injury mentally and all that. Malcolm Kuntz has got to dominate a football game here and help the Raiders out. I know he's a great kid. He's got energy, but Max is getting double and triple team. One of these guys on the other side has got to get home for a couple of sacks, Vince.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things, Malcolm Kuntz might have been the most overlooked player in training camp, if we're being honest, in terms of the totality of the team, guys that we were spending a lot of time talking about. I think a lot of the notice and the microscope went to the defensive tackles, what that rotation would look like. Christian Wilkins out, Thomas Booker in, who's going to be that? And everyone kind of just thought, like Max, Malcolm Kuntz was going to be a set it and forget it kind of guy on the other end. And that's been anything but. And we talked a lot about Tyree Wilson, about taking that next step and, showing more than just flashes, making it turn into production. It hasn't been there. It simply hasn't been good enough. And if there's anything, a lot of people are getting on Pete Carroll and the coaching staff and the things they are or are not doing, the attention needs to be put on that defensive line as much, if not more so, than the offensive line, because 174 yards rushing allowed in the first half against the Commanders. You can call it an anomaly, you can call it an aberration, whatever you want to call it. It got fixed in the second half, but that can happen again. Because no matter how good or bad the offensive line is, if you are that porous on defense like we saw in the first half against the Commanders, it doesn't matter what you do offensively. So you can't be fighting with one hand tied behind your back. And in the Raiders' case, their biggest issues right now are in the trenches and along the offensive and defensive line. And that has to be, and I know it was, but it has to be priorities 1 and 2, whichever order you want, to be corrected. And it has to be elevated in a major way on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of things have to be elevated here, no doubt, just because of the record, where we are in the season. And again, as much as this coach wants to build the program, which is a long-term build, which I don't mean long-term years, but year one, you're going to have some bumps early on in the season. We're seeing that. Also, Geno was pressured on 19 of 34 dropbacks last week. That's the second highest pressure rate Geno's been under since 2018. I saw Kirk Morrison did a wonderful breakdown of all the sacks. And there were others where I think he needs to step up in the pocket and take off and run. No one wants to see Geno get hurt. He's a bigger quarterback. He's big. So if he runs, he's a big target. But I think sometimes he's going to have to run just straight up the middle on a jailbreak and get 8 or 9 yards and slide, because that's open. That's open. Sometimes we have 3 receivers in the route and there's 6 defenders in the secondary with the linebackers, total of 6 on 3. So Geno is not being spied and guarded. Geno's going to have to run a little bit more. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 12 sacks through 3 games is tied for the 4th most in the National Football League. As much as we talk about a lack of ground game, they can't even protect Geno. And the sad truth of it all, JT, is this is status quo for Geno Smith. This was the issue he had in Seattle. He was running for his life. He couldn't get protected. So it's not necessarily a surprise that Geno, was able to have pretty good day in 2 out of 3 games, right? Obviously, the Chargers game was a bad game in terms of taking care of the football, but he's kind of used to running for his life. And in the preseason, he was talking about how refreshing it was in a sense of, I haven't been touched. Again, very, very small sample size in that preseason. It's been a very different story 3 weeks into the regular season. But again, every conversation you and I want to have will go back to the offensive line, or on defense, the defensive line. Anything you want to talk about. If you want to get into the corners, very important, Caillou Blue Kelly not getting burned for a deep ball, it starts with the defensive line helping out the rest of the team. And as much as Geno is an elevated version of any quarterback we've seen in the last couple of years here in Vegas, it matters none if they can't protect him. So, in my opinion, the offensive line has regressed from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. That has to change emphatically. Even if it's average play, I'm not asking for the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line here. I'm just asking for adequate average play, and I think you will see a much different result, long-lasting drives, and quicker explosive plays like we saw a little bit more of against New England.
Yeah, you make a great point about all this. Geno is second in the league in passing yards. Now, imagine if he didn't have that. Imagine if he had the interceptions, he didn't have the passing yards, he was getting sacked. It shows you perfectly how weird this league is. He's second in the entire league in passing yards, which means he's completed a lot of deep balls, 3 touchdowns, 4 overall to Trey after 3 games. I mean, he's put up some numbers, but I agree with you with the offensive line regression. With a minute or 2 left, tell me about the Vegas Golden Knights, because I count on you. You're embedded with the team on top of everything you do here on Raider Nation Radio. Is it fair to say, every year it seems like they're a Stanley Cup contender. Where are they this year? Are they really a Stanley Cup favorite or a contender with about 4 or 5 teams? How good can this team be?
Final 4 should be their standard.
Okay.
Final 4. Western Conference final series is where they should be. You don't go out and acquire a guy like Mitch Marner, sign him to the mega deal that you did the day before NHL free agency, unless you have hopes of hoisting that Stanley Cup once again. And the Golden Knights have never been shy, not once, about what their goals and aspirations. A lot of franchises and a lot of different leagues talk about being that final team, but very few act like the Golden Knights in terms of doing something about it. And they felt they had a team that could win the Stanley Cup a season ago. 100%, and that wasn't talk. That was action. That was everything they poured into it. And so the fact that you essentially have pretty close to the same team from a year ago, you add a Mitch Marner, it's not a shock to say they should be in the Final 4. Now, not having Alex Pietrangelo, one of the best defensemen in the NHL all around, not having him is going to be a learning curve. There's going to be some speed bumps. There's some younger guys in there that are going to get bigger roles, more minutes played, and feels like they're ready for it. Shea Theodore is a guy that's going to see his role increase. A Caden Korzak, who is going to become a household name this season. Zach Whitecloud, people know the name. He's going to get more minutes. So can they live up to those minutes will now be the question. But to answer your question, top 4 without question. And one other point I want to make back to the Raiders. You said something interesting that I might use for a topic on tomorrow's morning tailgate. You said something. Can you imagine where this team would be without Geno throwing for the yards that he threw? Yeah, I can. We saw it last year. We literally saw it last year. It was the same thing. The only difference is Geno elevates the quarterback room and can do different things that the quarterbacks from a year ago couldn't.
You know what's great about covering hockey? You lose 3 out of 5. Nobody cares. A few people care. Few people care. If the Golden Knights lose 3 out of 5 to start the season, or they go 2-2, no one's going to call and say a word. But in football, you play once a week and you want to win. Continued success, my friend. I'll see you throughout the weekend.
Thanks, JT.
Vince Sapienza, Fox 5. He started off with me as an intern, and now he's one of the biggest guys in town. He is. He's got Fox 5. He's on TV. He's doing every sport in town, and he's a proud teammate of mine here on the radio. M-Ride is the luxury concierge shuttle service. I'm so happy that I was able to bring this together to bring Teo Johnson's company with his tremendous partners right here to our show, because I want you to be able to get to the games easy. I want you to be able to go to these concerts easy. My buddies are at the Ryder Cup now. They're trying to leave to get to the train and get a shuttle. It's like 2 hours. M-Ride here in town can pick you up at all the locations, the Palms, the Link, Circa, get you right to Allegiant Stadium. And what's so good about it is the buses are gorgeous. They're on time. And for the price of an Uber, you can get there in a luxury bus. It's a home run. Ride like a pro. M-Ride it, and you'll get in and out quickly. Reserve your ride at mride.com. Use the promo code BRICK. That's mride.com, promo code BRICK. All right, Lee Sterling's coming up. He was 3-0 last week. What? 3-0, and he gave you those picks for free, everybody. Here's the games he's going to give us. Penn State, Oregon, Eagles, Bucks, and Ravens, Chiefs. He's going to give you those games for free. Some of those scoundrels on the gambling networks don't give you nothing for free. They don't give you nothing for free. They want you to sign up for a newsletter. We give you stuff here for free from winners. Ooh.
Mike North is so funny. He's like, I wouldn't trust anybody under 40. You have to hit rock bottom first.
Yep. Yeah, we'll call Lee in 2 minutes or so.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness, weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio.
All right, how's the chat doing? We got 466 in here. That's a combination of Twitter and YouTube, and that's not enough. We need 1,000 people in here. The only way we're going to do that is providing this content and getting more people that are watching now. You see what I'm starting to learn with these analytics through my sons? We got everybody here that we want. Where are the other people? Where are the other 5,000 subscribers, the other 20,000? Now, this is harder than you think, man. I've been doing this a while. I give all the YouTubers credit who got 100,000 subscribers. They've been doing it a long time. We started this a year ago. But we want to get this thing moving, man. And the only way I'm going to get it moving is if you help share the page. So please appreciate that. What's that show I'm watching on Amazon, The Terminalist? Have you seen that show, man? That's an unbelievable show, man. I watched it last night. I woke up today and I watched it. Let me find that out. Amazon, The Terminalist. What is it? It's not the trailer. Man, this is a good show. The Terminalist Dark Wolf. The Terminalist Dark Wolf. Man, that's a good show. I mean, it's a really good show. Find an image for it. Yeah, it's just really good. How come Mikey O can't get in the chat, Jason? Mikey O can't get in the chat. He just texted me. Yeah, it's this show. This show. Anybody watching this show? Man, that's a good show.
It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at the Castorudi, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castorudi Brothers, and we have your back.
Brotherswin.com.
Hey, babe, where are you going? Fantastic indoor swap meet.
The swap meet. I love Fantastic. Can I come along?
Sure, if you bring your wallet.
Who I got tonight? I like Arizona, man. Who do you like tonight, Clay?
I like Seahawks.
You like the Seahawks? I like Arizona.
Let's spend the afternoon. It's just over on Decatur and Okie. You know, Fantastic's open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 6. And like they
Lee
say,
Sterling.
Fantastic.
We've got it. Zip Zap Auto has expanded into one of the
I tried
largest
it.
independent
Yeah,
auto
it
repair
went
shops
to
in the
voicemail.
valley. With 23 bays over
I'll try it again
12,000
now.
square feet, Zip Zap is your
Okay,
one-stop shop.
thanks.
offering 24-hour smog test, oil changes, detailing, bodywork, engine, and transmission rebuilding. And ZipZap provides free towing and diagnostics with qualifying repairs. All signs are for 24-hour service. ZipZap Auto at Cheyenne and North Durango Drive and online at zipzapauto.com.
This is JT for the Hall of Excellence Sports Museum at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas.
All right, we got Lee Sterling coming up here. We'll knock him out. Go to ParamountSports.com. You got him, Clay, or should I have him call us?
They need to have him call us because I keep getting his voicemail. And the other number told me to keep calling that number.
Ask him why when he calls in.
Yeah.
I want to make sure he's okay.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. Stand by. Okay, Lee's ready.
Right after unnecessary roughness. So spend your afternoon listening to Raiders talk and then continue on into the evening with Game 3 from Indiana as the Aces take on the Fever at 4:30 on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
JT back with you. You know, last week Lee Sterling gave me the JT Sun special right on Oklahoma, right on Arizona State, and he joins us. Lee, you're transparent. Win or lose, that's a nice week. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, and I just felt it was the right time to jump on both of their alma maters and big games. I mean, that Oklahoma game, now they're going to have to do it without their star, John Mateer. So, tougher times ahead.
No doubt about it. Let's get to the games. Penn State, you're giving us the whiteout. Penn State minus 3.5 versus Oregon. Look, Oregon can play anywhere. This isn't a weather game, not that I'm aware of. This is a whiteout. Everybody knows James Franklin beats anybody other than great teams. This is a great team. This is a James Franklin game to me. You know the rosters, the health of these rosters. Penn State minus 3.5 versus Oregon. Who you got?
Last year, this Oregon team would come in and win this game. But they're going to come in now with a defense that hasn't been tested and very young. Run defense is ranked 50th.
Uh-oh. We lost Lee. Get him back. He's there. The phone ghost got him. Was that on him, Clay, or on me? Phil. Let's get him up again.
Yeah, he's still linked in.
He's still there, Lee? Lee, are you there? I don't think he's there.
I'll call him back.
Yeah, I'll call him back there and get him. So I think he was going to the fact that, you know, Oregon probably can't win this game because he was talking about Oregon last year. Oregon last year was absolutely incredible, and they could win anywhere. And I'm thinking this year Penn State looks to be the team. That Penn State schedule starting now gets really rough. So, Lee, you were saying Oregon last year could win that game. What about this year?
Yeah, this year, you know, their run defense, I have some questions about. They have not been tested. Very young team, ranked 50th in the country. Dante Moore looks talented, but how's he going to perform in front of 100,000 fans? The Penn State running backs that ran for 292 last year in the 45-37 loss, they're both back, Singleton and Allen, but they add now Trevor Pena from Syracuse and Kyron Hudson from USC. These two guys already have 27 catches on the year. And who's the X factor? Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Where was he last year? Ohio State. In the second game, he changed everything around, the entire blitz package, shut down the Ducks here. The X factor is the difference. Finally, Penn State gets over the hump. Penn State 24-17. Over the Ducks.
There it is. Penn State outright covering at home. All right, let's move on. A great NFL schedule here. Eagles minus 3.5. The Bucks. Look, they're losing their best receiver. Mike Williams will not be able to go there. Baker's won 3 games. I think by combined 4 or 5 points. They're all miracle comebacks here. The Eagles, you found out, are traveling a day earlier to deal with the humidity. Baker Mayfield said on a radio show podcast, that's not going to help. They don't know the humidity down there. A lot of those NFL players have played in Florida, so I don't agree with them there. This is an interesting game. Could the Eagles have looked at that last game against the Rams and the walk-off block kick? Could that be a high that they're coming off in a bad spot here on the road?
Well, they remind me of Kansas City last year early, just finding ways to win. Last year, Tampa won the game against the Eagles. A lot of people forget, 33-16. In fact, Tampa Bay has won 6 of the last 7 straight up, and all 5 of the last 5 games have been played in Tampa. So weird scheduling dynamics. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin yet. The offensive line, defensive line banged up here. In that game last year, Philly was without Devonta Smith and also A.J. Brown. I think Philly's going to keep finding ways to win here. I like him here. Lay the 3.5, 28-20.
All right, Lee Sterling is our guest. Now let's get to another big one here. Baltimore, Kansas City. Are you kidding me? Baltimore, what a gauntlet for Baltimore. They lose at Buffalo when they're up 15. They imploded. Derrick Henry fumbles, and they find a way to lose in their last game, and Lamar takes 7 sacks. Now they got to go to Kansas City and Spagnuolo. Wow. I mean, the loser of this game, Lee, goes to 1-3. I think whoever loses still can make the playoffs, but they're going to almost have to be perfect. Who do you got with this one? Is there a line movement coming into this game?
Yeah, and I think it's going to possibly move up to 3, believe it or not. Last year, Kansas City was a 2.5-point favorite to start the year. Are you telling me there's 5 or 5.5 points difference right now in 1 year? I don't think so here. So with 6 minutes remaining in the first half on Monday night, Baltimore's offense only had 5 minutes of time of possession. Now the Baltimore defense, it was out left to dry last week on Monday night. They got to travel halfway across the United States. They're going to have to play a Kansas City team, I think, that's starting to figure it out. Kansas City offensive line only gave up 2 sacks last week against a very underrated and dynamic New York Giants defensive line. Right team favorite, Kansas City, straight up over Baltimore, 24-20.
Kansas City straight up, our AFC West foe, straight up over Baltimore. You'll remember this one. And there's something going on with you and ASU. You got it right. I know when you're on a team and you're hot, you play the team here. I don't know which way you're going, but your game of the week, Arizona State -2.5 versus TCU. How can we get it? You're on a roll.
This game is under the radar. There's 8 or 10 games that everyone is paying attention to, but the winner of this game could be in the Big 12 championship. You want to get the right side? Call 800-400-9741. First 10 callers get Arizona State and TCU. And how about this? I'll even add the game tonight, Seattle and Arizona. Both games on me, 800-400-9741. And we went 5-0 on Sunday and Monday in the NFL. You want to hop on board? Check out all the specials. Just one place. ParamountSports.com.
800-400-9741. He's there. He talks to you. He helps you win. Lee Sterling, over 25 years with me exclusively here, comes on with Q tomorrow, too. You catch him on Raider Nation Radio. Have a great weekend, Lee.
You too. Thanks, JT.
Lee Sterling, good to have him. Look, when the guy's winning, he tells you. When he's not winning, he tells you. That's all I ask, man. I'm not a gambler. I talk to the best handicappers. We have Bill Krakenberger. We have Lee Sterling. We have Jay Sherman over at the Westgate. We have gamblers on, and I don't put the frauds on. Now, do I know frauds in town who are gamblers? Yes. And they're just trying to make a buck. We want to put people on that can help you make money. And I hope you do. And sometimes they're not going to win, but they'll be there and they'll be accountable. So those are his picks. I partnered with Charles Woodson and his Woodson Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey of the Black Hole and the Las Vegas Raiders. I've been texting back and forth with Charles. He's excited to be with us again. Use the promo code JTTheBrick at checkout for 15% off. That's WoodsonWhiskey.com. WoodsonWhiskey.com, the official whiskey of Raider Nation. Please celebrate responsibly. Man, we've had some good shows this week, only because of the guest. Mike North yesterday. We got the Wiz next, Steve Wisniewski. I called him in an emergency to get this O-line fixed. The Wiz will tell us how next. I will be right back. I need to hydrate. All right, we good? Everybody else take a break. Everybody else take a brief break. Go to the refrigerator. Go to the refrigerator. Take a bathroom break. Come right back. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Zip Zap Auto has expanded into one of the largest independent auto repair shops in the valley. With 23 bays, over 12,000 square feet, ZipZap is your one-stop shop, offering 24-hour smog test, oil changes, detailing, bodywork, engine, and transmission rebuilding. And ZipZap provides free towing and diagnostics with qualifying repairs. No appointment necessary, 24-hour service. ZipZap Auto at Cheyenne and North Durango Drive, and online at zipzapauto.com.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
Make sure you check out Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920 every Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 as we learn a lesson from our professor, Professor Lincoln Kennedy. That interview is brought to you by Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. You win? Must be 21 or older to enter. Please gamble responsibly.
This fall, get in the game and earn cash for betting sports with the William Hill Nevada mobile sports app on your phone or tablet. During William Hill's fall rewards, earn up to $500 cash back. Between now and December 31st, you'll be eligible for cash back points for every wager made, win or lose on the William Hill Nevada mobile sports app. Earn even more cash back points for teasers and same-game parlay wagers made on the app. To enroll in fall rewards, opt in and to see participating locations, visit williamhill.us. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Raider fans, this one's for you. Game day hits different at Bel Air Lounge inside Durango Casino and Resort. Watch every Raiders away game in style, then stick around for your shot at winning 2 tickets to the next home game. No buckets, no gimmicks. Just be there when the clock runs out. Look for the QR code on your menu. Scan it
Hello,
to
Steve.
enter
This
your
is Clay with JT The Brick Show. How are you, sir?
They'll do a live drawing to pick a winner because football in Vegas.
Well, I'm glad you're on. We'll put you on hold. We come back in 1 minute. Is that okay? All right, stand by.
Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York style coal fire pickup and pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check it out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
It's a festival at Team Chevrolet. Celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with food, music, and fun for the whole family this Saturday.
Oh, nice. All right, we have Steve. He's ready. You come back in 1 minute.
Hello, I'm Jesse Fonseca with Park Place Realty. I have been your local broker since 1990. Yes, that's 35 years. So if you're looking to sell or buying a home, I'd love to be your choice. Call me for more information. 736-3000. I'm also a mortgage banker, so if no one will lend you, I'll lend you. I have a lot of money. Credit restoration, free, and much more. Call for a free home evaluation. 736-3000.
License A143790. Geneva Financial 393995.
Hey, Las Vegas, are you tired of plumbing prices that break the bank? At 365 Plumbing, we're bringing fair prices.
All right, we got Steve Wisniewski. If you got a question for Wiz, put it in the chat.
Plumbing needs, we're here 365 days a year, rain or shine, day or night. Extend the life of your water heater right now. Take advantage of our $89 water heater special. Visit us at 365plumbingnv.com. Bringing fair pricing back to the valley, one home at a time. 365.
All right, I'm putting out the tweet that we got Wiz.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
It's the JT The Brick Show.
I don't care who hears that. It doesn't matter. He's legendary. His track record speaks for itself. He competes every single day, and that's what I love about him.
Your silver and black won't just sound off. For over 25 years. Somebody wanted to play harder longer than the guy lined up across from the team lined up across from me. And if you're not, then I want to be the space. That's where the Raiders live. Excellent every day. And now here's JT The Brick.
Welcome back, everybody. It is hour number 2, and JT is here for you, and we need you in the Raider Nation. We got a game on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Used to be the Monsters of the Midway. This is a big game. They need this in a big way. Okay, so I brought in one of the greatest legends, and I'm proud to announce that he is one of the 128 modern era nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Again, one of the greatest Raiders to ever play on the offensive line, my friend, Steve Wisniewski. Wiz, great to talk to you. I hope you're doing well. How are you?
JT, I always love talking to you. I am well, and thank you for having me on the show. I wish I could come out to Chicago and at least be on the sideline to thump someone when they come out of bounds.
Well, that's why you are here. That's why you are here, because there's a lot of noise about the offensive line. They were trying to, Pete Carroll wants to compete, and he wants everybody to compete for their job, and that was great. That was training camp. That was the preseason, and now they're still trying to figure it out, which I find okay. You're trying to find the best offensive line here. Can Jackson Powers-Johnson, who won the Remington Award for center, he's not going to play center. They have him as a guard. And I wanted to have you on to kind of calm the noise, because you played on some great offensive linemen and you were a great player. But what was it like when it wasn't going right and you and your teammates got together on the practice field to try to fix it?
Yes, sir. It goes back to basics. And you can verify this with Lincoln Kennedy, but we had a brutal period of practice every day, Wednesdays and Thursdays, called 9-on-7. And it was brutal because it was 9 defenders against 7 blockers. We didn't count the quarterback or the running back because they had the ball. But we knew it was a run. It was run period, 9-on-7. And it was the most physical thing that we would do all day, and we would literally pound each other. And we'd make it difficult on ourselves to run the ball. Some of that is grit, some of it's footwork, some of it's tenacity. But I feel like that's what gets you back to the basics, pounding it in practice. The Raiders are always good at what they emphasize. A few years ago, with a very similar offensive line, Josh Jacobs led the AFC in rushing. So I know it's a possibility. I think it's just got to be an emphasis. It's got to start in practice. And it even starts with a little nasty attitude.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only issue is from your era, which wasn't that long ago, they don't have as many padded practices. And you're right. I think that's really important. The Raiders had to play on a Monday night in the nation's capital, playing a team that had 9 days off. Coach Carroll told me he didn't have them in pads that week. He had to fly them across the country. It was a really bad spot, and it showed. But now we're seeing, Wiz, this difference between a straight-on offensive line, zone blocking technique. And I know how much you pay attention. They're not able to get Ashton Genty, our 6th overall pick in the first round, even to the line of scrimmage. So it seems like the protection is off. What is it like when you're communicating at guard with the center and the tackle to say, hey, they're giving us a different front. This looks different. There's a linebacker behind them that might be blitzing. Walk us through how important the communication is.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about brotherhood, but it is a brotherhood when you've played together with the same group. You can communicate effectively. You can, make combination blocks because you've run through it dozens of times in practice. It's very difficult to be plug and play these days. And like you said, we have an injury with JPJ has been out, but it's difficult to make up for that and throw someone in there and just to look smooth. So what I think they have to do, if we can't do it in practice, and I think we have to be a little bit more creative in getting the ball to Genty, whether it's a pitch, whether it's a flip, let's stretch the perimeter, let's put him in motion, let's flare passes out of the backfield, anything you can do to get him the ball. Other than straight up the middle. And I don't feel like it's a time for panic. I just think it's a time to be creative and get back to basics in practice.
Steve Wisniewski is our guest. That's really important you said that, because Lincoln's saying the same thing on a bunch of different platforms. And, a lot of fans are trigger happy. They want to change out the personnel. And what I'm sensing from you, who's not in the building, sometimes you got to work through this. And Pete Carroll is telling us that. He's saying, we've been trying to work on this. He uses the term building the program, like you at Penn State and when he was at, USC. You got to build the program over. And I think he's being patient because he doesn't want to get to the point right now where he has to blow it up, because the Raiders drafted 2 young offensive linemen that aren't ready yet. So sometimes it's okay to be patient and work it out in practice, huh?
Yes, it is. And sometimes we hate to say it, but it does take some time. Chip Kelly is a quality offensive coordinator. He's no dummy. He's going to get creative. Ashton Genty, boy, we all feel great about him. And we know this line is working their butt off. So I feel like we just got to get creative and get back to the basics. My last head coach when I was a player was John Gruden. The line coach was Bill Callahan. Yeah. And literally Lincoln and I would beg them, let's run the ball. Coach, we can run the ball. We can run the ball. We wanted that. It was part of our attitude that we were going to make holes for Napoleon Kaufman. he was the last big running back that I had. But, throughout my career, we had Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Eric Dickerson, Roger Craig. We didn't give up because we had a bad 3-game stretch. You just keep going back to the well and get a little bit more creative. And I feel like this would be a good team to do it against with the Chicago Bears. If we could establish the run, if we don't get into a shooting match, I was surprised they played so well against Dallas a week ago. They really lit up Dallas. But I think this would be a great game to get back to running the ball.
Wiz joins us here on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio, one of the all-time greats. So what about the emotion? You were a guy, Lincoln, and you were different. You were a guy that was really intense and hardcore and nasty during a game, and I know you off the field. I could say the same thing about Lincoln. Other guys were just different overall. How do you get a team to get more emotional if they need that, or to maybe tone it down and play more under control when you have 5 guys up front?
Yeah, I think it's a balance, but you need some guys, and I've said this for a long time on the Raiders. I've gotten to know a whole bunch of the recent Raiders, and I think the world of them, and they're working their ass off. But I'll just throw it out there to you and the audience. Who's been the leader on the defense other than Max Crosby? Obviously, he's been the void. But have we had a linebacker to step up? Before Max, who was the voice on the defense? Who's been the voice of the offensive line? Colton Miller, phenomenal player, excellent player. But that's just not his personality type. There's not been a fiery guy who's going to get in your face. The Raiders have kind of lacked that leadership, even at quarterback, because it's been a carousel. There's not been someone to step up and say, this is my team. And, since Derek Carr. And so these are some of the things we're missing is the leadership.
Was also, and you've played on teams that have gotten out the 3-0 starts and teams that were 1-2. And that's another thing here. When you were playing, not that there wasn't any, but, there wasn't social media. There wasn't where you were a great player. If you didn't have a great game, which you always seem to have, they would have someone breaking down every snap. There'd be a PFF grade on you. These guys are playing every play with under a microscope. If you have a bad game, like these guys had a bad game last week, oh my God, they give them a grade. They tell them how bad their grade was that week. It was a little different time than you played, huh?
It's a little nuts how much they track the stats. I was looking online and it said on average they gave the quarterback 3.11 seconds a week ago. Of course, they gave up 5 sacks. That hurt. But everything is tracked, JT. I think you just have to avoid the noise. The media has never been your friend as a player. And, again, focus on getting better. Every day we stepped on the practice field, we had something in mind, like I'm going to improve on this. I'm going to work on this. And then on the last thought, I was interested in your take on this, JT. Most people don't realize the NFL has become like college football with a 20-hour rule. Every minute of practice is tracked, and it starts the first time a guy steps on the field and when the last guy leaves the field. So for that reason, because this was a collective bargaining agreement with the players, they can't practice as long as they'd like. In fact, every day I was a pro, I was out there before practice and I'd stay after practice and work with guys. And that's a lot of the time you had to refine your craft. And they don't let players do that anymore. And people keep coming up to me saying, don't you feel like the techniques are going backwards? Don't you feel like the line play has gotten worse? And I said it has, because these guys don't have all the time they need, and they're seldom in pads anymore, even in practice.
You nailed it. I mean, how do you get better if you don't have padded practices? And I even talked about that with Coach Carroll this week, and we got into special teams. The Raiders had an awful game on special teams. Now they took out really the tackling of special teams. When you watch this new enhanced kickoff where you're just lined up next to each other, so if you break one tackle, you could be gone, but that normally doesn't happen, and you can't practice it with pads on. So you're trying to line people up, and you're having walkthroughs. And Wiz, that's what happened, man. You played with a lot of guys, and I know how sharp you are in the market and in your life as a businessman. There's a lot of players that played your position that got banged up, and now they can have a better helmet, and they can also wear that helmet guard now that they're seeing. I think more guys should play with that, because I think it'll save their brains and their ability not to take as many hits. And it's all changing. It just doesn't seem like coaches and offensive line coaches can get guys at practice and have them do these drills in pads enough. And I think that's how you get better.
I really agree. Going back to the fundamentals, it's like being a golfer. You got to hit golf balls.
Yeah.
And you got to hit a lot of them, and you need a swing coach. Well, football, you need to have someone practicing your run block and make it hard. Greg Beeker's a dear friend of mine. We talk 3 times a week on the telephone. We try to kill each other in that 9-on-7 period, and we really did. And we joked at how many concussions we probably gave each other in practice,
Yeah.
But that's literally how you got better. And God rest his soul, Chester McLaughlin, same thing. I would try to kill Chester, and he was so slippery as a defensive lineman. But I was going to fire off the ball as hard as I could. Tough to do when you're just wearing helmets and everybody's in gym shorts. But I believe in the Raiders. I have faith. I think Chip Kelly's going to be creative, and I think the Raiders, above all else, that offensive line needs leaders to step up and take it personal and really emphasize that they want to run the ball. They're going to fight their butt off to do so.
All right, Wiz, what's going on in your life? Tell me, I know how strong your faith is, your family is, and your extended family. What's new since I've last seen you?
Yes, sir. I'm living in the suburbs of Nashville, Tennessee. So my second favorite team, and it's a distant second now, is the Titans.
Okay. All right.
Because of the Callahan connection. Bill and his son. His son's the head coach now. Bill is out here, too. He was my former line coach. But so it's been some dark times here. I'm married, and I help my wife run her online clothing business.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm a huge Raider fan, huge college football fan. My youngest daughter's at Ole Miss, so we're going this week to the Ole Miss versus LSU game. And I tell you, the SEC football is a heck of a lot of fun. And then my Nittany Lions, I'm along with Penn State. They've got a big one against Oregon. They're going to go try to earn some respect. They haven't really done a great job of winning big games lately. But here's our chance with a whiteout up at Penn State this weekend.
I wanted to ask you, I've been in Nashville a handful of times. I'm a big live music guy, and, going on Broadway there is just nuts. I mean, Vegas is trying to do that now. They've opened up a couple of these big country bars that have country music on 2 or 3 different floors, and anywhere in and around Nashville, people want to come visit. I like to live, Wiz, in a place where people come visit. I lived in LA for 10 years, and people felt like if they were coming from back east, you had to go on vacation to visit. Now in Vegas, I get calls when people land. They're like, hey, I'm in Vegas for a couple of days. It's kind of like that in Nashville. They're calling it Nash Vegas. More and more people want to go there for the live music, college football. You mentioned the Titans. Hockey's big there. What a great place to decide to settle down at this stage of your life.
Thank you. Yes, sir. It is. And they love their sports out here.
Yeah.
And so good people. It's good weather, a lot to do. I've since become a hockey fan with the Predators.
Yeah.
And, so having a great time out here. But I love the Raiders. I watch every game, and I'm on a text thread with my former teammates. And believe me, nothing goes unseen by us. Every week we're commenting during the games, after the games, and always faithful. We're not giving up.
Do you have the game you're coming to yet? I know you're always here Alumni Weekend and other events. Can we plan on seeing you later in the year, maybe get you to the torch?
Sir. The Alumni Association dials me in once or twice.
Yes.
And I look forward to it, JT. I always look forward to saying hello to you and your team and Eric Allen, Lincoln Kennedy. I mean, you guys are all world-class great people. Love you guys to death.
Whatever I can do, and we talked about it with Eric, and we saw it happen, whatever we can do. And I know with Paul Gutierrez inside the room at the Hall of Fame, another big push for you. Shane Leckler should be in, Lester Hayes and Plunkett on the senior side, but modern day, more and more fans talk to me about your time coming up for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I hope it's this year, and we'll do whatever we can to help you, my friend, along the way.
Thank you. You already have, JT. I do appreciate it. To God be the glory, whether it happens or not. I am honored and was honored to wear the silver and black, and there's no other organization that holds a candle to what they've done for their players.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for doing this today. We really needed you. You got it. God bless Steve Wisniewski. That was better than I thought. And again, that's why I'm lucky to have this position. I reached out to our alumni department. I said, can we get Wiz on? Yes. Wiz texts me. I have his number. And he comes on because I think that was a really important interview this week. And if you're going to clip anything, clip that. Okay, you just heard from one of the greatest guards to ever play. And Clay, what's the biggest topic this week on Raider Nation Radio?
Offensive line.
And the right guard, the guard position of Jackson Powers Johnson. Well, we just had an 8-time Pro Bowler on a potential Hall of Famer saying, you got to practice. And Pete Carroll's telling you the same thing. We got to practice with the guys we have. And a lot of people are losing their minds. So I hope Jackson Powers Johnson starts at right guard. I would think that'd be the right thing to do, but I don't know what's going on today at practice. And the next 2 days are going to matter a lot. Mike in Staten, Italy, our Yankees clinched, but I don't want the wild card, Mikey. What do we got to do to win the division over the Jays?
I think Tampa Bay is going to play them tough. Baltimore is starting that guy Rodgers Friday night, so we got to somehow we win tonight. Don't get a letdown game against the White Sox tonight. Win that game. Hopefully, we get a one-game lead tonight. With Toronto losing again, Friday night's going to be real tough for JT. And then you make the call. Do you go with your two pitches to try to get it, or do you save them for the playoffs? You know that's the $1 million question. JT, missed you today at the practice. I took a lot of notes for you. Started the day out at Changing Times Pub. Had a few Irish coffees had a few Irish coffees. About 20 of us went over to there. The weather was bad. They're telling me that it's going to clear up, but it's shorted the sessions. The New York crowd is on fire. And it was just the practice. I don't know why. Maybe you do. You're a little bigger into the. We were all over Matt Fitzpatrick. I don't know why. They were, and I'm going to try to research it when I get home. But the crowd was all over Matt Fitzpatrick. They got some big hitters. They started on the 10th hole. Europe, I think, have bigger hitters than us. Wrote down the pairings. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I love the first one at 7 a.m. Rahm versus Hatton against DeChambeau and Thomas. DeChambeau and Thomas had the crowd going crazy, signing autographs, watching people do shoeies. DeChambeau and Thomas was the personality of this team. They were crazy. One thing I didn't like about the American team is the rookie. He looked like a deer in headlights.
Okay. Hey, Mikey, one quick thing, because you know that's my hometown. You went to my hometown bar for an Irish coffee. My buddies who were leaving there said, oh, my God, it's a shuttle to get to Farmingdale to the train, then to back to the – I hope they nailed this because they're pretty good. I hope they got the egress-ingress working there because that's my hometown where the Ryder Cup is. It's not a big town. It's a small town in a big island. Are people able to get in and out of there, or is it going to just be packed in a zoo and people are going to be upset for long lines?
JT, it's going to be like when we left the Allegiant Stadium with the Ubers like that. Yeah. We were blessed. We went over to, the PD, and they took us in by vans. So we had a little in and out, so I didn't have to deal with that. But no, JT, they're just going to have to grin and bear it. Yeah. They're saying over 250,000 fans are going to be there. You couldn't get near a tent to buy any merchandise. I was trying to get your shirt, JT. There were longer lines for the merchandise than for everything else. It's the excitement, and they say the weather's going to clear up. I've never seen a golf tournament, and I've been to one Masters. I've been to John Daly in Bethpage winning the U.S. Open. I've never seen excitement like this before. I watched the celebrity tournament. Okay. Michael Strahan, I don't know if anybody has it, hit a tee shot that was insane. I'm sure you're going to see that on there. But JT, 7:10 tomorrow morning Eastern time, which is 4:10 your time. Rahm and Hatton against DeChambeau and Thomas. That's going to set the tone for the whole tournament.
Thanks, buddy.
And we also got McIlroy's little press conference, and him looks like he wants to avoid Scheffler. He's calling out DeChambeau. All right. That's a little thing for me.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll recap. I didn't like the eyes of our the rookies on the team.
Okay. There's Mikey in Staten, Italy, professional gambler, former detective, and he's in my hometown. And I'm okay today, Clay. Here's why I'm okay. I was supposed to take the red eye last night. I ate the ticket. So, quick story. I won't mention the airline. I called the airline to cancel my flight. It was $510. And they're like, okay, we're going to put it on the app. I'm like, wait a second. Let me see it. Send an email. No, it'll be on your app, the refund, and you have to do. I'm like, I'm talking to a human being. I got through because I was up late. So I had to cancel my flight because I decided I didn't want to go because of the weather and the fact that I had to turn around and come right back here for the Raiders. So my buddies who wanted me to come went today, and all they did was drink their faces off because it got almost rained out. So I think I'm winning by not going, but right now I would have been with my buddies on the train having a Modelo, going back to the Manhattan for a rooftop party, juiced up for the Ryder Cup. So sometimes you got to say no.
You got to take your chances every now and
I
then
know.
and say, look, you know, in war, there are casualties. Sometimes you just got to leave that behind. And I know it's in your hometown. You must be dying to be at that
I'm
bar.
dying that I'm not there. But the other thing is my mom and dad don't live there anymore. They live in Florida and upstate. So if my mom and dad were living there still, I would be there. I'd be in my boyhood home. But I went to Farmingdale High School. That's where Bethpage Black is. When you watch the Ryder Cup, they do the aerial views. That's my dirt. That's where I'm from. I'm proud to be from there. And my friends are all there now. But I got a lot of friends coming into town for the Raider game. Ooh, and I got some Bears friends coming in. They want tickets. I said, no, I don't have tickets. Well, what do you mean you don't have them? I go, yeah, if it was Oakland, I had a bucket. There would be a bucket I'd go to in Alameda, and I'd grab a handful of tickets out of a bucket, and I can give you it. They're all sold at Allegiant Stadium. Every ticket is sold. There are no tickets. You either have to go get them, be a season ticket holder, buy them in advance, man. There's no freebies. You're going to have to go get them on your own. All right, we got to get some people in here for this game in a big way. Antonio in Modesto on my conversation with Wiz.
Hey, JT, great interview, and I just love the way the perspective that the Wiz put it out there, and especially him dropping Chester freaking McLaughlin's name. Talk about those guys going at it at practice at 7-on-9. It gets me hyped, gives me hope for this coming up Sunday that the offensive line can do something, like I said, mix it up, get Genty out in the flat, something different. But thank you for getting Wiz on there. I like how you get the old-time guys on there, dropping Napoleon Coffin's name too. Brings back great memories with JT. I always enjoy the show. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to have Wiz on so other people could hear more content than other content providers screaming and throwing their Yeti mics in their basement at the wall saying, I'm quitting a Raider fan. I'm quitting because I don't like what's happening with the coach. I mean, come on, man. We just put on the greatest guard to ever play for the Raiders other than Gene Upshaw. Gene Upshaw was the greatest to ever play. So when it comes to that, relax. Wiz just told you. Lincoln Kennedy told you. Lincoln Kennedy told Q and myself and everybody else, no, don't break up the offensive line yet. Give them more time. I'm all for benching people. I love pulling pitchers in the second inning if they're not doing well. I have no problem pulling people if they're not playing well. The best example, Clay, that you can have in sports by far is a goalie. The best example, Clay, you can have in sports. Aiden Hill, you can have Martin Brodeur. If he gives up 4 goals in the first period, you take him out. It doesn't mean you're benching him. You're taking him out of one game. He's going to start the next game. We got Raider fans that want to bench the offensive line. We only have a few offensive linemen. We don't have 14 offensive linemen. We're going to have to see if these guys can do it. But I'm all for benching Dylan Parham for a week and then put him back next week. He's not going to cry. He's not going to punch a wall. It happens all the time in sports.
Yeah, and then for a goalie, it's like, it's not your day. It's not your night.
Right.
It's not your week, Dylan. That was not your week. You have to sometimes sit and watch. That way you can reinforce what you've learned and your fundamentals will come back.
Now, a good example is Gino. If you would have pulled Gino in the fourth quarter because they were just teeing off on him and the game was over, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Gino, sit out the rest of the quarter. We want to preserve you for the Bears game. Yeah. That way you wouldn't be benching Gino. You'd just be taking him out of the game. But everybody thinks it's the end of the world. I love everything about Jackson Powers Johnson, but I don't know everything about him. I don't know how he practices, performs, his film habits. I do know from talking to Max that he was getting in with Max every morning. That was very impressive to me. I like the kid. I met his parents. His parents are great people. He was a legendary Oregon Duck. Give the kid some room, man. Kid's been through a lot. He's been in concussion protocol a lot. Start thinking of the coach and the player and what they're trying to do to help you win as a fan. They're not against you, man. They want you to win because they want to win. It's their livelihood. Remember that from time to time. When we come back, wasted talent. Man, talk about a new addition to our show. We add insiders every year because how about this? This year, Vic Tafer went to the Niners. Deshaun Reed went to the Commanders. You got to fill them up. So I brought in Alex Eshelman. She's great from ABC 13 and Wasted Talent. And he'll come in here next, and he's another one of my straight shooters. He will tell you the truth. That's why he's coming up next.
It's the morning tailgate. Jason Fitz, the Yahoo Sports R Grammy winner.
All right, Wasted Talent coming up next, man.
JT's Big Show. Hey, how's it going, man? Dude, good, thanks. Glad you're on here. I'll put you on hold and come back in about 3 minutes, okay? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
He's on hold?
Yeah, he's on hold. There was a caller on hold, Epic Raider. Do you want me to tell him to call back?
No, keep him on hold.
Okay, I'll let him.
Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of
Epic, don't
hand.
go anywhere. We'll get your call, okay? We're coming back from commercial break in 2.5 minutes. All right, thank you.
Pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York style coal fire brick oven pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
You're right there, everyone.
Las Vegas. Let me tell you how to get an interest-free trial.
Is anybody talking the NBA right now, Clay? Not really, huh?
No. It'll happen, though.
Yeah.
Right after postseason baseball begins.
Hey, we're going long today. We're an hour and 33 in. We got about 5:50 in here, which is nice. Let's keep it going. We'll keep it here for Wasted Talent and go from there. Got a good Thursday night game tonight. I got a buddy in town. I'm gonna go watch a little. I'm gonna go to a local casino sports book tonight, Clay, on my side of town, and have a bucket of Modelo's and watch a game in a sports book. I don't gamble, but I like the atmosphere in a sports book.
It's gonna be thriving. I love the action.
Yeah.
Always good atmosphere.
I'm not going to say the name of the casino because they're not advertising with me, but that's okay.
Deadlines are strictly enforced. And call the Richard Harris Law Firm. 444-4444.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On August 2nd, Candace hit 4 queens, clearing her Gambler's bonus 4-of-a-kind bingo card for over $16,000.
30
Candace hit
seconds.
big, and so can you. With Gambler's bonus, it's why you play the game.
All work, no play makes for one boring ass week.
And they just set the pairings for the Ryder Cup. Holy crap. These pairings are unbelievable.
Join us for half off happy hour 5 to 7 p.m. and 12 to 2 a.m. daily for 50% off all, and we mean all drinks, even the good With over 70 locations, there is
Wow. Bryson versus Rory. This is going to be good.
That's nice. I like that.
The JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Casa Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Hands it off to Jetty. Fouling blockers. Big hole across the 40. Throws the shoulder, and that is his best run of the day. They will mark him down at the 38-yard line. He bulldozed for 15 yards right through the middle of the field.
Gino's got to step up and do something. Gino's got to, everybody says protect the football. Of course, protect the football. You think Gino goes out there and wants to throw an interception, but there are going to be times where he's throwing it into double coverage on 3rd and 11. He's going to have to. So you hope it doesn't get intercepted. I want Gino to be aggressive. Let's find out what Wasted Talent thinks. The Las Vegas Raiders content creators, got a big YouTube channel. He joins us every 2 weeks. So how have you handled this week with your channel, everything about Jackson Powers Johnson, the offensive line, and how much they're struggling?
Well, at first, just from what happened last year, when you go back and you look at the positions all of these guys were in, at the middle of the season when Jackson Powers Johnson was a center and, Dylan Parham was at, right guard as opposed to left guard, the line was markedly better, right? So just from the eye test, me as a content creator, the only thing I can do is just juxtapose them with each other. But this is a different program. This is a different coach, a Hall of Fame level coach, and you have to give a Hall of Fame level coach the latitude to implement his program, right? So, I never, ever try to doubt people who are professionals. It takes a lot to be great, and it takes a lot to be a professional. So I'm giving Pete and these guys the benefit of the doubt. And then you have to look at the fact of some of the peripheral things that happened this week. JPJ has had a history of head injuries. I think Pete was protecting him. And I think a lot's been made of him not playing, but I think it's more so of protecting the person as opposed to just throwing him out there in a short week. This Raider team had one of the worst turnarounds of I don't think it's ever happened since they've been doing the Thursday night games. I mean, Washington had a lot of rest and we had a short week on Monday night. And it's normally, where you don't have the Monday night team playing the Thursday night team. So that was a piece of it as well. And it's a 1 o'clock game in the East Coast. And that's always been kind of the bane of the Raiders' existence. So, now that JPJ's back, he's going back to guard. I think that is something that is going to change the performance of his offensive line because JPJ, let's make no mistake about it. He's not the problem with his offensive line. To me, from a talent perspective, besides Cole Miller, he's our second best line. And he has to be out there, and he has to be the physical presence that this line has been missing. A lot of where my ire has come from and where a lot of my fire has come from is the play of Dylan Parham. Now, Dylan Parham has not played well. And I'm looking to see how, Pete talks about competition. He says that Jackson Powers Johnson is actively competing. I will hope that Dylan Parham is actively competing just like everyone else and that they take a look at, how they can help him stay on this line and help this line perform a little bit better.
This is really good. Wasted Talent joins us, and he's nailing it. You could get on your channel, and you could sit there on YouTube and just say sky's falling and get rid of the coach and all that. Very well thought out what you said about you're dealing with a Hall of Fame coach who's trying to make decisions here. And you're also, as you just said, wanting to protect the player because you and I are not aware of what his mind's going through with these concussions and him coming back on the field. I mean, I think more people should look at it that way. You're looking at it that way. I think that's a rational move here. But, in the next week or two, if this offensive line doesn't get it fixed, you would agree that they got to change out some of the personnel.
100%. I mean, you can't continue to go out there, especially in an AFC that's this competitive, in a league that's this competitive, and not change things. I mean, that's what coaching is about, right? It's about adapting on the fly, and sometimes you got to turn lemons into lemonade, right? You got to try the best you can. You got to adjust. That's what they do. That's what you do in any sport. I mean, if you look at what the Raiders are up against, this is as close to a must-win game as humanly possible this early in the season. People don't realize that when you talk about the difference between being 1-3 as opposed to being 2-2, it is like the distance between the Grand Canyon. I mean, being 2-2 since 1990, most teams, probably 50-60% of teams that start 2-2 make the playoffs in the current 17 playoff format.
Yeah.
But teams that go 1-3 only make the playoffs 15%. And to me, this week is important. It's imperative that the Raiders win against the Chicago Bears defense that has not done well defending against the run. And to me, getting Ashton Genty going this week is just what the doctor ordered for us to get this W.
Wasted Talent is our guest. Follow him at Wasted Raiders. I agree with you. The only concern I have is if they try to get the running game going and they're sold on that and it doesn't work because they're just going through a rut and they can't get it going. And then the next thing you know, Caleb Williams is putting up points and you're down 10 points, 2 scores, and you got no excuse. You got to throw it. So if they're going to run the ball, they better run it well. And they better get out quickly and take the lead so they can continue to establish the run, because as much as they wanted to run it at the Commanders, that game was over almost at halftime. They didn't have a choice. They had to put it in the air.
Yeah, most definitely. And the Chicago Bears team is the top 10 scoring offense. They've been averaging about 25 points per game. And, Caleb Williams is looking like he's starting to put it together and figure it out a little bit. I mean, not a little bit, a lot, and they have – address their offensive line in a real way. They have a pretty decent offensive line with Joe Tooney and all those guys. I'm looking at this Raider team and I'm looking at our front four. And, we always talk about Max Crosby, but if anybody needs to come to the front of the table and show up, it is the rest of that defensive line. I'm looking for Tyree Wilson to take that step forward that you and I spoke about earlier this offseason. I'm looking for Malcolm Kuntz to show up. I'm looking for Adam Butler to show up, because that's what it's going to take to kind of harass Caleb Williams and to get him into some of these situations where this team could get some turnovers. Turnovers are going to be imperative in this game. The Raiders need to create turnovers with our front four, because it's going to help the back end too. It can't always be on Max Crosby all the time. Max Crosby's been playing out of his mind.
Yes.
Even though he's not getting a lot of sacks, him and Jonah Lualu have been playing terrific this year, and the rest of the defensive line need to step up along with those guys.
Wasted Talent's our guest. Why was the tackling so poor, considering Devin White had 11 tackles, 8 solos in the first game? I talked to Eric Allen about it. Pete's known for tackling, and he's known how to teach tackling, the proper fundamentals. But as you know, you can have one day in padded practices, but you're not going to have 2 or 3. And I think this team needs more practice in pads, and they're probably not going to get it. So how do they pick up the tackling and the fundamentals? Because they better tackle in this game, because they were really bad in the nation's capital. That was about as bad of a tackling game as I've seen, and that includes special teams.
Yeah, and I think that's part and parcel to the short week. Now, the 2 games previous to that, they were a bad tackling team, and we know with the new safety protocols, you're only allowed to have, I think, if I'm not correct, like 14 padded practices throughout the season. So, tackling across the league has kind of gone down from when you and I grew up, right? I think that home cooking is going to be the recipe for the Raiders and their tackling. That they're home, they're rested, they have, a normal week of work. And I think that was most of the reason. I mean, there has to be a collateral damage from them coming all the way from the West Coast on a short week, 1:00 game, just, and then them not actually practicing in pads last week too. That's something that in anything you do, you have to continue to apply the things that you learn in the practice. Practice is big. People always kind of, say that, they're professionals. But the way that these guys became professionals and became the 1 or the 1% is through practicing. Repetition is big. And I think a part of their their kind of routine got broken, and that affects players. And that's not something that's small. I think a lot of people try to sweep that under the rug. I think you're going to see a Raider team that comes out and tackles the way that they always have.
What is your message to the fans? What you're saying on your channel, what you're saying to fans overall, you got a great following. What are you telling them? Because you were outstanding here telling everybody, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what's happening now. But I'm sure you get a lot of people like I do that are losing their minds right now. What are you telling them directly?
Well, it depends, right? Because it depends on the situation. Now, what I will say is there are a lot of fans that are losing their mind, and they have every right to, right? Because we might not know as much as the coaching staff and as fans. You might not know as much as the players. But the one thing Raider fans do know is what it looks like when a season is starting to take a turn for the worse. Because that's what a lot of fans have come accustomed to over the last few years, unfortunately. And what I try to do is I take it from a probably a subscriber by subscriber basis. Whomever asks a question, you have to just make sure that you view things from a bird's eye view and not a worm's eye view. It's an early season, and you can only deal with what you know. What we know is that Pete Carroll can coach football. That's what we know. Pete Carroll is a Hall of Fame coach now. If he hangs it up today, he's going right into the Hall of Fame. He's done something that only a handful of coaches have ever done in history of this league. I think Jimmy Johnson and Paul Brown and Barry Switzer are the only ones who have won a Super Bowl. Well, there was no Super Bowl when Paul Brown coached, but he won an NFL championship and he won a national title, right? And you had Jimmy did it and Barry Switzer did it. And Pete Carroll is one of the only ones who's ever done that. So what I know is I know Pete Carroll can coach. I know that this Raider football team has a lot of talent. And I know that we have a guy that is on a Hall of Fame trajectory stewarding this defense in Max Crosby. So what I tell these guys is you got to take it on a week-to-week basis. It's a week-to-week league, and you have to remain kind of balanced in the way you respond to this information. Now, when people get on their channels or wherever they're at, right? I can't tell people how to officiate over how they do their thing on their channel, but on my channel, I'm not calling for people's jobs in week 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's irresponsible. I think it's irresponsible for people to put in your windows about, why Pete is not doing X, Y, or Z as if they're in the building, right? And I think that a lot of the things that are out there is just very, very surface level nonsense, right? Like, we heard today Chip Kelly kind of motion to why they picked Meredith over Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, no matter how I feel about that, right, just from being on the outside looking in. Outside looking in, I see a Remington Award winner, right? And I'm like, hey, he's a Remington Award winner. I thought he played terrific last year at center. But there's that technical part of the game that you're not privy to. Right. So, and I love the way Chip Kelly answered things. He said, listen, when it comes from a call perspective, Jordan Meredith did better for us. And those are things that you cannot just dismiss, because the most important thing for an NFL offense is that center to quarterback exchange, and the center being the quarterback of the offensive line and calling out protections and things of that nature. And if the mental aspect of your physical ability is not lining up, then the team has to do what they have to do, and we have to accept their answer at face value. I just think that what I tell people who listen to my channel, and anyone hearing my voice now, right?
Right.
What I want to hear is, and what I want to see is, I want to see emotion from the team, and I want the fan base to stay behind the team, because it's early in the season, and they need us. They need us. We need a home field advantage, right? Yeah. But also, the team needs to realize something. Vegas is a transient town, and there are a lot of people there that were not born and raised in the silver and black like myself, and like a lot of other fans who have traveled from Oakland to Los Angeles, back to Oakland, and now to Las Vegas. You have a new fan base that we're trying to establish in Legion Stadium. And fans want to see results. Right. And that's just a part of it.
Absolutely. Tell everyone where they can get your content.
On YouTube at Wasted Talent Raiders, on X, Wasted Talent Raiders, and at every social media. JT, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure, man. He's good. He is really good. That guy sounds like he's been on the radio for 20 years. I'd put that guy on the radio right now. Right now. I'm not saying here anywhere. I put him on the radio right now. That guy knows how to communicate. He's really good. At Wasted Talent, I'm happy we found him. And I found him because he asked me to go on his podcast. And when I was done, I said, man, that was good. Let's get you on my show. And he's been nothing but outstanding. Man, that guy gets it. You hear him he said on my channel, like, he wants everybody to get behind the Raiders. You don't want people bailing. On this channel for me, radio or on our YouTube, I don't want people to bail in week 3. I don't. And if you're going to bail, you're going to bail. I can't help you. But don't look for a life preserver from me. Don't look for a life preserver from me if the boat pops up and everything's good and the boat's going. Don't look for a life preserver from me thrown over, because I got that boat moving. We're on to the next bar. We're on to the next island. Okay, you ain't getting a life preserver from me if you're bailing. But I got to be here in week 10, 12, 15 if it's not going right. That's why I want this to go beautifully, and it's not. And they need to flip it and play better. You hear what he said at the end? We need emotion. Where'd you hear that all week too? Here. Where's the emotion? I'm going to be on the field before the game with Eric Allen. I'll be looking for emotion in warm-ups. Act like you deserve to be on the sideline. If you're not playing, show some emotion. Get into this game. We need it in a bad way. We'll wrap it up next. Thank you, everybody. What a week for us. Hey, what a week. Wasted Talent. Go subscribe to his channel. I might do a live stream today or tonight with Looney. Keep an eye on that. You'll get an alert.